footwear available at that boot store. Open Tuesday through Thursday, 9 till 5. Friday and Saturday, 9 until 5:30. Next to Bill Burke at 15th Street, Panama City. That boot store where God is good all the time.
Hi, I'm Tracy, your diamond girl at Tracy's Fine Jewelry. Shopping for the perfect diamond can be difficult, but that's why I've trained my staff to be helpful and to offer you a stress-free diamond experience. Pick your sparkle and use our easy layaway plan. Every woman deserves an exquisite diamond from your diamond girl at Tracy's Fine Jewelry. We don't work on commissions.
We work for smiles and I-dos.
So if you're tired of high-pressure salespeople, stop by and see us today at Tracy's Fine Jewelry.
Hey there, business owners. Do you feel lost in a sea of numbers, struggling to navigate your day-to-day accounting? At Lighthouse CPAs, they specialize in guiding businesses to make more money and keep more of what you make. From bookkeeping to tax planning, they've got you covered. Plus, with their user-friendly software, managing your finances has never been easier. Spend less time on paperwork and more time growing your business. Call Lighthouse CPAs 850-785-5254.
People ask all the time, who the heck is low-cost airlines? Well, we're not just one airline. When you're talking to us, you're talking to everyone. We are the discount supermarket for all airline tickets. Plus, we have all the airlines and always have the best prices. American, Delta, United, plus all the specialized international airlines and a lot more. And we make it easy. We guarantee you'll talk to a live human in 60 seconds. You can have the rates you need and have your trip booked in 5 minutes. Now, how cool is that? And remember, when you're talking to us, it's like talking to every single airline available with one fast phone call. All you need to do is call and find the best prices to fly wherever it is you want to go. So are you ready? Call Low Cost Airlines right now. 800-708-3092. 800-708-3092. 800-708-3092. That's 800-708-3092.
WVLQ Port St. Joe, WGSX. Powered by Panama City Toyota.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Are you ready?
Okay, let's begin.
Trip. The Afternoon Underdog Trip. Live and local. Inside the Doghouse.
Unleash the dragon.
I'm the Sports Talk Monster. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now tuned in to the Afternoon Underdogs, and this is ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 here in Panama City and 101.9 in Port St. Joe. I'm David Hayes along with Tyler Bishop and Caveman Ricks, and coming up shortly, it'll be your Minute with Max. We've got some picks to get into for week 3. I haven't finished updating the standings to see exactly where we stand, but I can tell you one thing. In the world of college football, there was not many correct picks made on this show last week. I think it might have been me and you up there with the most correct picks at like 6 and 5.
Hey, man, I'll take it.
Yeah, no doubt. There was quite a few people with just 1 or 2 correct picks in college football. I didn't do so great in NFL. I think my overall record was 9 and 7, and I think I was 3 and 2 in these picks. Well, actually, I guess I would have been 2 and 3 because I had. No, I went 49ers. I went 49ers to win.
Yeah.
I didn't change my pick in the pick'em from the 49ers to the Jets, but I did get home and lay a little bit of money down on the Jets regretfully.
What C-Mac went on?
It's like, all right, yeah, like you lose the best running back in the game, and it's like, all right, maybe Gang Green and Aaron Rodgers can make something happen here. That was not the case.
I'll tell you, I was underwhelmed by how Rodgers looked. Like his mobility still. I mean, for all the rumors of him potentially coming back, like towards the end of last season, and the way he was moving around, and I mean, we're kind of seeing some highlights right here now. Like he had a few plays where he looked like he could move, but there's a lot of plays where it's like, I'm not sure this dude's even at like 90% right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's a case to be made for that. And it's been a full season. It's been 365 days since he's played, and what they had him at over under 1.5 rushing yards last night on Hard Rock, and I don't think he got that. Yeah,
there's some plays I'm like it didn't even look like he could run.
Yeah,
at all.
I mean,
And that's a bad D-line to not be able to run against, too.
well, and you've heard before, like once, I can't remember what quarterback it was from the past, maybe Dan Marino, like once he tore his Achilles, that was pretty much it. He continued to play, but never looked the same again, and I wonder if that's what we get from Aaron Rodgers.
And Kirk Cousins a little bit. But
Kirk
I mean,
Cousins.
and I guess you kind of expect, because that would have been, 20 years difference medical?
Yeah, exactly.
You assume medical
Medicinally
science
speaking,
is, advanced enough that it wouldn't affect him the same, but maybe that's just one of those injuries like the ACL used to be. Like, it's just once it happens, you're just not. And granted, they're both, 37, 38 plus. I mean, I know Aaron Rodgers is 40, but I mean, Kirk Cousins isn't a spring chicken either.
No, he's not.
So, I mean,
And we had so much hype on the Atlanta Falcons,
man.
and they just let 6 touchdowns,
Man,
6 field goals, rather.
I saw a tweet talking about, like, man, if only Arthur Smith could come into Atlanta and engineer an offense that couldn't put up a touchdown and still find a way to make the Falcons get embarrassed or something like that. It was fantastic just with his history there. And, I mean, it's just, man, that's a tough weekend for the
I
Falcons.
forgot about that aspect of it for a second.
6 field goals and, perfect Arthur Smith offense, and he still makes the Falcons look awful. And, man.
Russell Wilson still dealing with the calf injury, so it does look like it's going to be Justin Fields again for the Steelers, who get off to a 1-0 start and keep
Mike
the
Tomlin,
dreams
man.
alive.
Mike Tomlin, what magic fairy does is he just sprinkle on his team into the schedule and just finds ways to make stuff happen.
Man, I don't know what it is, how he does it. All I know is that he continues to do it year after year. Even last year, where it kind of felt like their backs were against the wall, like getting at that 500 or better number, and you can't get to 500 these days. It's either 500 or better or 500 or worse. So, last year, they were, again, backs up against the wall, and they found a way to make it happen. I would say that this team, to a large extent, is more talented, even if it's Justin Fields leading them, just because of, I'm not going to sit here and say he's definitely, without a doubt, a better passer than Mason Rudolph, than Kenny Pickett, but I do think that he's makes
more dynamic.
Exactly. And a word that one of the new members of the Monday Night Football Countdown loves to use is dynamic.
I almost didn't want to use it. I was like, I have to pay Jason Kelsey some royalties for saying that word, but just 5 minutes I was listening to the Monday Night Countdown yesterday, and he said it 12 times, it felt like.
I do got to say that I really liked the addition of him to the Monday
like his
Night.
personality.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously super knowledgeable. You don't play center in the NFL without being incredibly intelligent, and obviously knows the game. And I kind of like this trend of guys who had just retired.
Yeah.
So they know a lot of these guys. They're up to date on the schemes. It's not guys who played 10 years ago and they're kind of outdated in their knowledge. Guys that are, up to date, and it's really cool just getting that aspect because we were talking before when I came in. I was listening to Jimbo Fisher. And it's the amount of football these guys know. When you may think you know a little bit, man, these guys just know encyclopedias of knowledge, and it's awesome to listen to.
It really is, man, and it does make you think I'll never even amount or amass to a tenth of the knowledge that these guys have about the game. And so, what do you think? You think Jimbo Fisher gets another job next year?
I think he wants one.
Yeah, no, of course. I think if he wants, I think if he wanted one this year. Now, how the buyout plays into all of that, I think is going to be one of the
I don't think
factors.
it matters at all. I think
so. If he gets a new
guaranteed
job,
contract,
he still
doesn't matter. So I was told leading into his final season at A&M, he was expecting to get fired and plan on retiring. Granted, it's easy to say when you have a job and you have that money coming to you. I think, but I think guys like that, once you're out for a year and a half, I think that itch starts coming. You start seeing some of the bad coaching going on in college. You're like, man, I could be doing better than these guys. And I'm not pointing fingers at any particular program, any particular coach, but there's coaches out there as much as we wanted to give Jimbo...
Just put an address on it.
As much as we wanted to give Jimbo, some crap for his time there at A&M and even towards the back half or, back part of his tenure at Florida State, guy won a national championship. The guy, people thought he was, a top 5 coach of the country for a while?
Yeah.
I mean, that was a huge coup when A&M pulled him out. And, obviously it ended up panning out for them, panning out for him real well.
Yeah.
But, the guy still knows football. He's been, highly successful. So
I don't know about the itch for coaching, though, however, with some of these guys. I think it's the itch of just being relevant in, the media and whatnot. I think when you're out of it and you're used to being the guy, everybody's coming to you, wanting to talk to you all the time. Now, all of a sudden, you're not the head coach. You're not getting interviewed. You're not getting all that love and attention. I think that kind of, some of those guys, it wears on them. That's what they live
Maybe
for.
They just need that ego shirt.
Yeah, and, if they're not, they got to go out and they got to get it one way or the other.
I don't know, man, because there's so many thankless spots, thankless things that you do when you're a head coach, especially college football compared to the NFL, right? With just recruiting and all of that good stuff. I'm not saying absolutely not. By no stretch am I saying that. But what I guess I would say is that there's something about their whole shtick. Now,
then you can go back to coaching, do like Trent Dilfer and coach like a high school team or something before he got back into what he was doing. If you really have the itch and you really, you know what I'm saying? And you really want to make a difference in people's lives, you don't have to do it at the collegiate level. You don't have to do it at the NFL level.
You don't have to, but here's the thing.
The money's a heck of
Trent Dilfer, Trent Dilfer, see, there's a big difference, right? Because Trent Dilfer hasn't even made his way up to a top tier program, and that is no shade thrown at UAB. But had Trent Dilfer been up there coaching D1 teams, then maybe the next step is a step down if you're not successful. However, I think that Jimbo Fisher, like if the offers were there for Trent Dilfer, he's not going to go to high school and be like, hold on, I need to prove myself down here. And then I work my way up.
Look at J.J. Redick.
Right, exactly. That's a great case in point right there as well. So the thing is what team is going to take a flyer on Jimbo Fisher? There's already been, Travis Peterson keeps us up to date on rumors that we should believe in on the Inside Drive, right? And I guess he's pretty set on Napier's out and Urban Meyer's coming in.
I heard that. I actually heard I heard some James Hale show this morning. I heard the inside. So, got my full fix of the 104.3 this morning or today. But that's the most absurd rumor that he's going to get fired. Urban Meyer's going to be the transitional guy. Like, I just don't see it. It would be awesome to watch unfold to an extent. I don't know how Urban Meyer would do in today's landscape. He's obviously a heck of a coach and a guy who can really turn around a program as fast as anybody. Mm-hmm. But the guy wears out his welcome real quick. And then I heard him mention bringing back the whole crew, Dan Mullen and Charlie Strong. Ain't no way in HE double hockey stick that Dan Mullen is going to go back to Florida as the offensive coordinator after the way they treated him. Ain't no way.
My goodness gracious. I think Dan Mullen sits back and I hate to say this, but I do think that he sits back and kind of likes what he's seeing.
He's liked stuff on Twitter talking about it. Like there's a little bit of not so subtle shade thrown Florida. But to his point, Florida's not in a better spot. Is in a worse spot now than when he left. Yeah. And Napier was supposed to come in, recruit better. He hadn't done that. He's obviously not a better exit.
He's had some wins in recruiting. Yeah. And I think Lagway is speaking to that. But now we're hearing that Napier's going to go back to Graham Mertz as QB1. And after what you've seen from DJ Lagway, it's like these are little chess moves that you're making that in the long run, are you asking to get fired? Like, what is your buyout looking like, Billy Napier?
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I said, maybe it's one of those things he's going to open the competition back up. Maybe Mertz is just really well thought of in that locker room. Maybe he's trying not to completely alienate the guy. I think everybody knows that DJ Lagway is the future, right? Mertz is gone this year regardless. DJ Lagway is probably infinitely more physically talented. But there's a lot more that goes to being a quarterback than just being a physical specimen, right? Jamarcus Russell's proven that. Tom Brady's proven that the opposite. Maybe he's just trying to really toe the line a little bit. Because, Napier's coached under Dabo. He's coached under Saban, so he's not an idiot. He may not be the right coach for Florida, but the guy can't be an idiot. Yeah.
Maybe Fisher
just
to LSU?
Jimbo, bring him on back?
Yeah.
It wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world.
He wasn't head coach over there at LSU, was he?
He was the OC back in the Nick Saban days.
Nick Saban,
early Nick Saban days, and, Jamarcus Russell and that national championship.
He would kind of fit in over there.
He would fit the culture infinitely better than Kill.
He absolutely wouldn't come in saying family, you know what I mean? He'd say family. So basically, here's going to be the chess pieces that end up happening, right? That Florida fires Napier, then LSU fires Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly goes to Florida, and then Jimbo Fisher.
Would Florida take Kelly after he failed it? I know it's a little
I don't think that they should.
I don't know. What are Florida's options going to be? So you know what I'm saying?
I think best, like my brother and I.
Are they still a good-looking program to someone who wants to build something?
The thing is, Florida's got elite potential. We've seen it, right? With Urban Meyer, Steve Spurrier, they can be a top 3 program in the entire country. But it's got to be the right guy. Right. Lane Kiffin is the popular probably best case scenario. But what has Lane proven as a head coach? He hasn't won anything.
And not just that. If I'm Lane Kiffin and the job opens up over there at Florida, the job's not done at Ole Miss. How much more attractive is starting from ground zero, if you will.
I think the draw for Florida is the ceiling so much higher. It's higher.
There's
in
a lot
Florida
of
than
money
it is
in
Ole Miss.
Oxford, though.
I mean, maybe with the expanded playoffs, you believe Ole Miss can get that spot, but Florida's proven you can get there.
But
Ole Miss has never proven you can get there.
That's fair.
But I mean, the problem is if you fall off from Florida, like from Lane Kiffin, the options for Florida get so bad so quickly because now you're looking at like Gus Malzahn, the guy, Alex Golish, the guy at USF, which maybe he's a good hire, but hasn't won anything, hasn't proven anything, even at G5 level. So, like, if it's not Lane Kiffin, it gets real scary real quick.
You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. You're home for the Auburn Tigers. They've got New Mexico this week, this Saturday. I believe coverage will start at 6:30, depending. I still got to get some things ironed out. Travis is on the line with us. Travis, you got 30 seconds or less. If you go on talking about Urban Meyer, I'm going to have Rick dump you. So what's up?
Well, I was just going to say I got a call to defend a little bit.
Okay.
I do not think Urban Meyer is coming. I do not think that he could survive the days of football that are now.
So when did your mind change?
Well, I never said I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I do like Florida or Urban Meyer at Florida. It's a good like history repeating itself, kind of hopeful wishing, but I don't think it's going to happen.
How about Suburban Meyer? Would he come?
Suburban Meyer. Oh, Lord. I was just talking about you keeping us up on the rumor mill, my friend.
Oh, the rumor mill, is 100%. The rumor mill says he's packing his things at Ann Arbor and he's coming, and they're already looking for his replacement at Fox. I don't believe that for a second.
All right, well, give me your top two candidates for Florida and the Gators.
Besides Lane Kiffin.
Oh, dang. All right.
That's the problem. After Lane, it gets bad real quick.
Nick Saban, we talked about the itch, right?
This morning, somebody mentioned Bobby Petrino, and I don't know. But
Arkansas looked pretty good against Oklahoma State, but they found a way to get that game.
So. He will quit midseason.
Yeah, there you go. You want to talk about someone who'd pack their bags pretty quick?
Well, I don't know. Honestly, Kiffin is the one I'm sold on. I think Florida should give him a blank check and say, write the number. I don't think.
It's kind of like being in love with a married woman, like you just don't know if that's going to work out for you or not.
Hey, sometimes them married women leave their husbands.
You ain't wrong. And what's it take? What's it take to make that happen? 9 times out of 10 is a big bag. So if Florida's got that, we'll see, man. We will see. Quick, you got anything else for us, Travis? We're about to run.
Kiffin and Lagway would just be lighting it up on the field. And I think Kiffin can hire somebody to run the defense right. And I say that about everybody, but it seems like our defense is cursed. So I don't know. Maybe we can't be.
There you go. All right, Travis, thanks so much for the call, my friend.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all for taking it.
Absolutely. Travis Peterson, ladies and gentlemen. Wright State Chris says rural Meyer. Jack Patterson says, I don't think Urban would be as good as he was before. I think there's a large amount of truth to that. If I'm a college program after what happened in Jacksonville, I don't even go to Ohio State, but what happened in Jacksonville, I don't know if I'm ready to hand him over the keys to our program at that point.
I mean, you know Urban Meyer comes with a certain amount of baggage just from his time at Florida, his time at Ohio State. I mean, trouble seems to follow him a little bit, and trouble seems to follow his program.
Yeah.
Like, it's the reason why he seems to get out of Dodge after 4 or 5 years. I don't know if the way he runs a program is sustainable long term. And I don't even mean that, as a shade. I mean, it's just kind of factual if you look at his history. But, I mean, when he's there, though, you're going to win a lot of ball games real quick.
Yeah, there you go. Max Delyden in the building representing the Alabama Crimson Tide. What's going on, bro?
I am.
Double shake there. He was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. Big Ten through and through, but I don't want to see Wisconsin win. So.
Oh, there you go, man.
I have too many Wisconsin friends.
We are picking that game with a spread.
I know. I see that. I think I like Wisconsin there at 15.5. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the game. That's the only game I haven't filled out yet.
It's such a hard one because, I don't know. Milrow is kind of underwhelming this weekend, personally.
Wisconsin gives up a lot on the ground, too.
The Bama O-line was underwhelming. I don't think necessarily that's on Milrow.
Agreed.
But, I mean, how much can they fix in one week? I mean, but then we kind of saw this with Bama last year. They struggled against USF, and then they went on a run. But
I'll take it. As long as you get the win, and then you move on and do good things, and it is what it is.
I was real quick. I got some boys listening for me today. Shout out, boys, from Little Jamaica. Y'all know who you are. Appreciate y'all listening. Little Jamaica, man. They out there listening. My twin brother Moses out there. Let's go.
Swaggy T's younger little brother.
My twin brother Moses.
Really, twin brother?
No, we're not twins at all. But anyway, that Wisconsin Bama game, it's so intriguing, and I just have no idea how I feel about it right now.
Yeah, there's a few intriguing games. Like Oregon hasn't really been able to beat the spread against anyone, and they've got Oregon State. It's funny how Oregon's playing. The Pac-2 has big games this week, right? Both teams. Mm-hmm. Washington State's got Washington. They're on the road, and then Oregon State hosts Oregon. And look, Boise State does deserve a little bit of credit. Their defense isn't that great. They gave up like 46 points in their first game of the season, but they've got one of, if not the best running back in the game in Gianti. So he had close to 200 yards again this week.
Crazy numbers.
Still, I mean, I don't know. There's question marks around Oregon to some extent right now.
Huge question marks.
Yeah.
Like I kind of didn't want to overreact week one, but now 2 weeks in a row struggling. Yeah. Maybe they shouldn't play teams from Idaho. Maybe that's their kryptonite. But
fair point.
At a certain point, like you are who you are, and I mean 2 games isn't a full season, but it starts kind of giving you an idea of what to expect. Like kind of the same thing like we said about Florida State last week is like the first game, okay, second game you're having these same problems, these same issues. Like at a certain point, like it's not a fluke, it's an identity, and it's not great.
And then Syracuse takes down Georgia Tech pretty handedly.
My boy Fran Brown up there in Syracuse doing some things.
And Kyle McCord, baby. 4 touchdowns. My goodness, man. The ACC is a
wild conference right now.
It is a wild conference right now. So this could be a lot of fun. What do you got, Max? What you snickering at?
Listener Tim Adams sent me a side-by-side of Donna Kelsey and Bruce Valanche.
you got Tyler cracking up over
come on, man. Trying to take me out. That was, man.
Sean says Urban paid players before it was legal. He also says FSU should send the Gators Mike Norvell.
I mean,
Memphis?
Urban also had murderers on his team. I mean...
Swamp Kings, the documentary, and there's a new show coming out on FX about Aaron Hernandez.
So I mean, like, if you want to brag about money, you can brag about other things.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that Aaron Hernandez life. Like, I don't know.
Well, there's documentaries on Jeffrey Dahmer and all of those.
Yeah, the documentary though is different than I don't know. Dramatizing or romanticizing.
I think they've had dramatizations of those serial killers and whatnot.
Jeffrey Dahmer. Ted Bundy.
Okay,
so much better. So much better.
Look at whoa, fair enough. Pump the brakes. Look at all the stuff about Jack the Ripper. You know what I'm saying? Woo, yeah.
So I don't think that it's supposed to glorify it, but then I think anytime that you put anything into an entertainment form, it is glorifying it.
I mean, Swamp Kings, they glorified Urban.
Making money, yo.
Urban seemed like a great guy, leader of men.
I think that Urban Meyer had a large part to do with that documentary. Maybe not in producing or anything, but you're not going to cut this.
Sign on,
exactly.
You don't sign up for a hit show.
Was his name on there as a producer of the movie by any chance? If anybody's seen, but if you
does anyone watch the credits?
It ain't a Marvel movie. I ain't sticking around to watch the after credits scene. I know how that story ended.
We got to take a break. When we return, we will dive into your minute with Max. Get caught up on baseball, and we'll find out what hat Max wants and so much more. Talking about the great quarterback of the Chicago Bears. This is ESPN Northwest Florida, back in a jiff.
ESPN Northwest Florida. Here's what's happening.
You voted, and we thank you for making the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey and Jay Henley the most popular radio show in the official 2024 Community Choice Awards. As the Best of Bay winner, we'll continue to bring you the most fun, entertaining, and positive radio show in Bay County and the Panhandle. The Inside Drive is live and local. Weekdays 11 to 1 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida with your Tuesday's weather. The remainder of the day, there will be a moderate breeze out of the east, a possibility of thunderstorms and mostly clouds, and 83. A variety of clouds and a possibility of thunderstorms tonight, about the same at 76. Tomorrow, a likelihood of thunderstorms and light rain at a high of 80. About the same at 84 Thursday, and we'll have moderate rain and unlikely thunderstorms. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
All roads lead to adventures this fall in a brand new Kia from Bill Bird Kia. Discover our Kia SUV family and get ready to forge a brand new path. Bill Bird Kia is now offering 2.49% APR for up to 60 months on the purchase of a new 2024 Kia Sorento. You'll get the perfect balance of comfort, safety, and technology. It's the best family SUV with third row seating space for the entire family to unwind. Bill Bird Kia is the home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us anytime at 2435 East 15th Street or BillBirdKiaPanamaCity.com. Kia, movement that inspires.
Offer from Kia Finance America for the purchase of a new 2024 Kia Sorento with $1,775 per $1,000 financed at 60 months. Qualities limited. Cannot be combined with other finance offers not available on balloon financing. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Bird Kia warranty. See dealer for complete details. Offer for all qualified buyers. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 9/30/24.
It's go time all the time. Sports talk around the clock.
Oh my gosh!
Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
FSU fans, question for you as you are tuned into ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 here in Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. Max had nothing to do with this question, so do not throw any shade at him. Well, no, because I'm leading into
those who cannot be named.
Yeah, those who could not be named. Again, the week of winning, we had Brandon Phelps win on the inside drive today. Your next opportunity for the week of winning, you got to be calling number 10 when we give you the cue to call, and remember the keywords, chop on. That's going to be tomorrow at 5:40 with the Afternoon Underdogs. And a reminder to the listeners that today and tomorrow we're only going to 5:45 because we got to get you out to the first pitch of the Atlanta Braves and the Washington Nationals. But my question for the Florida State fans, 850-215-6290, interested in you guys' takes on this. If Norvell goes 0-3, we're not going to say is his seat hot, but is his seat warm? Because we were kind of talking about this, and one of the things that has been beneficial for Coach Norvell is that he was undefeated last year up until their bowl game. All right, he was undefeated, so that buys him a lot of time, in my opinion. However, I think you go 0-3 with one of those losses being a loss to Memphis. That changes my mind to some extent to where the propane has been turned on and ignited, and you might not be hot just yet, but that grill heats up pretty quick with propane. It ain't charcoal, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I think obviously last year brought him a lot of grace, and I know there's a lot of issues with this year's team that I'm not going to say that people are forgiving him for because it's his team, but it's like at a certain point, like, yeah, he went undefeated last year, won the ACC, that's great, but how long does that carry over with as bad as this year's team has looked at times?
Yeah. There you go. Well, this is your Minute with Max. Max Delighten in the building with us, and we've got a question right off the rip. This one comes from an anonymous user. Can we take 1 minute with Max to talk about his horrible fantasy team?
I guess I know that came
I
from.
wonder who that is. Yeah.
Who do you think it is?
It's either Danny or someone whose name I can't say on there.
Oh, you're not allowed to say his name
I'm just
anymore?
honored. Monday morning, I'm rolling out of bed, replying to emails. I'm just getting tagged by an anonymous person who's just viewing my fantasy matchup.
Yeah.
I didn't look at his once all week, but, it's nice to know people care about me.
Hey, it's the thought that counts,
It's
Max.
the thought that counts,
Yep.
absolutely.
Because when I wake up, I don't think about him, but I'm glad he's thinking about me.
When you live rent-free, do you still have to pay property tax?
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I was wondering. I don't know if I'm homesteaded or not.
Not quite yet. Not quite yet.
But, yeah, it's great to be there.
Oh, man, it's great to be there. A lot of space. So let me ask you this. What hat are we getting? Have you whittled down some options? Oh, you haven't even thought about it? I'm almost glad that we lost
we can
the bet
also
because
meet
I was
in the middle on occasional Allegiant plug or something,
Yeah, I mean, I already gave you that anyway, so let's get you the hat. We're not, this is my first, exactly.
I know you.
Up till this point, I've won the bet, haven't received the hat. That's not how this one's going down. We're getting you a hat.
Who
and
else
it doesn't have
hat?
to be
FSU.
Rob Johnson and Drew.
Calling y'all out right now.
You have two hats in your accounts receivable right now. I have $10 from Ryan.
Hey, there you go.
Best of Bay.
I haven't brought that up. I haven't brought
Best
that
of
up
Bay,
to him
yeah.
yet. So, Ryan, if you're listening, holler at Max.
Yeah, Ryan. $10.
Baseball.
I wanted to.
Yeah, for sure.
I meant to go on the show today, or just on the comments when you guys were on today, because I was just laughing because he shared the beautiful Coastal Carolina field, which is awesome. I was going to say any other teams play this weekend that you root for. Just he's an Auburn guy, yeah. But I don't know. I think he probably cares more about Coastal Carolina.
I would say that he cares more about Coastal Carolina, but the reality of it is that Auburn can take your fandom to a different height because you have that opportunity of
I noticed the
CFP.
Auburn Cows results haven't been updated on the board over there. I don't know if that's...
Someone should put that in.
I mean, I know we're the official partner, but still, we got to keep it honest, right?
I'm not going to lie to you boys. I was kind of, I was beside myself watching that this Saturday.
I felt a little bad.
Yeah.
Well, my brother-in-law's an Auburn fan, so I kind of felt for him a little bit, but Auburn, I don't care for Auburn, so... There's a Squidbillies song. I ride in my truck and Auburn sucks. So,
All right, so Max, what was your thoughts, though? Chicago Bears, Tennessee Titans. It was a weird game. Tennessee Titans jump out to that 17-point lead, and then the long kickoff return there for the Bears. Go ahead.
An Auburn guy who listens to, who we did a loan for, who's a really good builder in the area. He said, explain to me through the airwaves how Auburn lost this weekend, because I can't.
What was it? Four interceptions by Peyton Thorne is kind of the start?
I was going to say, Peyton Thorne wasn't good at Michigan State.
He was a thorn in their side? Is that what?
Yeah.
But
Boo. I mean, well, it was it's one of those. And then, you had the first week against Alabama and A&M, and they put up 70 points. And I had made a Facebook post, like Georgia or Alabama and Auburn did what they were supposed to do. I would have never honestly included Auburn in there, except for I was kind of, for my Auburn people, like trying to facetiously hype them up a little bit. I didn't think that the first blow was going to come this early, though. I really didn't. I thought y'all were like an 8-4 team, and now it's like, we don't know what Cal is.
Yeah.
That's fair to say, right? Cal
and I still think Auburn will be fine in the long run. I mean, I think they're making
the next year long
run?
run?
The right moves. I mean, I don't think
I think Hugh Freeze
should have lost that game.
Hugh Freeze has got to get his guy at quarterback, and until that happens, I don't know. Now, could they be a thorn in other team sides? I think that there's a possibility for that. But, you can't lose the turnover battle and then essentially let a team run all over you. And again, what's been the common theme across the NFL and college football and just the way that you win football in general, if you're losing at the line of scrimmage, you're going to lose the game. God forbid you continue to lose the turnover battle at that rate as well. So your Bears got a big win, though. What was your perspective on Caleb Williams?
I mean, well, obviously there wasn't much to write home about. I think it's still very limited, so it's hard to say. I think, honestly, Tennessee is, no offense, not a good football team.
No, come on, no, that's the truth.
You guys have good interior D-line, and the Bears' O-line's not good. I mean, not that this is an excuse, but at the end of the day, too, when your center's getting pancaked over and over, it's like, I don't know he shouldn't have fumbled that one snap, don't get me wrong. But, center was a hole that needed to be fixed and wasn't fixed. We just put duct tape on it. And the Bears O-line, it's not an excuse for how Caleb played. I don't think he played impressive. I'm not very worried about the deep balls he overthrew. I think, your first game, adrenaline's pumping. You're going to make some mistakes.
That's fair.
I don't think it's like cause for concern for a debut game necessarily.
You think? But what about less than 100 yards, though?
Yeah. That is
less than 50%.
That is. It just seemed like we barely had the ball. It felt like it was like every time we.
That's because your defense was getting y'all off the field with points.
I know. Yeah.
Oh, like I'm much more infuriated with Will Levis than
and I don't feel bad for Will
Williams.
Levis.
Has still got plenty of time.
Will Levis is not necessarily humble, so I don't feel bad for him. But I think he made like youth level mistakes though, like going down and just flicking it. Dude, just take the sack. My guy.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, yeah, and like I think it's kind of bogus. Callahan said that quote. We could just punt it on 1st and 10.
Yeah,
that's pretty ruthless. Like you can't openly blast your QB like that, especially
but if he openly lost y'all the game, man.
Yeah, but everyone knows that. Like, if you had 2 eyeballs, I mean,
well, it's Callahan's first rodeo as a head coach,
and it's also not Callahan's quarterback.
That's
not
true.
the guy he brought in. I mean,
so we're gonna have that dang controversy.
I mean, I'm not saying we are. I'm just
I don't
saying,
think Will Levis is anyone's quarterback.
somebody chose him. It wasn't Bill Callahan.
That's like
someone compared him to Carson. I think it was McAfee on the McAfee show today. They compared him to Carson Wentz, which I think is almost giving him too much.
Well, I mean,
praise to some
maybe
extent.
current Carson Wentz.
Yeah,
It's not
current Carson Wentz. Yeah.
like pre-injury Carson Wentz. No, but it's I mean, also bad quarterbacks too. Like for the Packers, Malik Willis having to start. Like he is horrible. I feel so bad for that organization.
Yeah.
Shout out Caveman Rick and the boys for taking care of business in Brazil on the terrible field.
We're starting eating quarterbacks, man, like we did a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
for real.
Yeah, I mean, it was I will say, underwhelming game from Jordan Love. Anyway. I just would like to point that out after everyone was glazing him after his second half last year when he was playing against like Phoenix Online and St. Mary's all women's school. Like he was like, dude, he
was still playing NFL games, right?
He was playing NFL games against like
stroke.
Yeah, he took it to the Bears. He took it to the Vikings Swiss cheese defense.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, come on. And then he actually got slaughtered by the Bucks. He lost like 34-20.
Speaking of the Bucks, how about Baker Mayfield again?
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up too. Do you guys think that's more Baker, or do you think that's just Mike Evans being a beast? Because he made some catches where I was like, oh my gosh.
I think that it has a little bit of both,
Baker, yeah.
but I think that Baker deserves the credit for all of the places he's been to.
I like Baker.
And then last year kind of proved to me anyways that Baker Mayfield is a legitimate NFL
when
quarterback.
people got like an attitude against him and are counting against him and thinking he sucks, dude, that's when that guy lights it up. And when he's get the keys handed to him like he did in Cleveland and they're like, you're the guy, he's not going to do nothing but have a chip on his shoulder. Yeah. And don't run from the cops because, he's going to get caught. But outside of that, I mean, if the defense was all police, he wouldn't be able to go anywhere.
No, Baker did have an issue with like running from the cops. And
he tried running from the cops once, and they like caught him pretty quick.
If we had went from Baker to Tyreek
No, we did not.
No. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you guys would have remembered that. It was pretty funny. I thought when he got caught trying to run away.
I got you.
Right on.
But
was that when he was?
I want to say it was when he was at Oklahoma. Still.
Oh, okay.
I think it was like back in his maybe it's like pre-draft.
He also had Stetson Bennett who had his little situation. But I was thinking about something else that Baker, I believe, had going on. I just didn't know if it was collegiate or NFL, and it was being kind of in a secluded parking lot. If you can.
Whatever. But what's really impressive, I think, for Baker coming week one with a new OC, the OC moving on to Carolina and having that success.
And so many people were high on the Panthers, like Dave Canales is going to change the trajectory.
QB whisperer, 13 for 30.
Well, I didn't know this man's a doctor that could add height to people and fix the offensive line.
Bryce Young, you got new legs.
Yeah. I didn't get into it enough today because unfortunately Duty was calling on the phone today. But did you guys listen to the Bill Simmons and Cousin Sal podcast ever or no?
Cousin Sal Volcon, whatever his name is from
I feel like you guys would really like it because we all like to look at sports lines and like they do guess the lines every Monday for the upcoming week. But Bill Simmons said he's moved the line to minus 140 he said it used to be the Bryce Young trade. He said now the Deshaun Watson trade is minus 140 for the worst trade ever.
Because minus 140, that's like minus 1,000.
Because if he got waived, it's $172 million cap hit.
Well, that was 3 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and then $250 million guaranteed.
Because he was like, if he was balling, it's one thing, but he's like,
he was 26-22 as a starter with the Houston Texans.
Yeah.
Most of that benefited from having Jadeveon Clowney and J.J. Watt on your defense there. It also 2 years. You're out of football for 2 years, and we're still gonna make this move. It can't
be the worst deal ever because the Browns made it.
Okay.
Because the Browns are involved, it's not the worst. This is typical Cleveland Brown shenanigans. All right,
Thursday Cleveland.
Yeah, exactly. So don't.
I'm ready for Jameis.
Now, if like a really good franchise that's been perennial, like
Dallas,
or no, get out of here. The Steelers, like I say, the Pittsburgh Steelers made that boneheaded move. Okay, that would go down as like the biggest like tragedy for a contract and what have you, like in history. Okay, but because the Browns did it. it's clown shoes. Like it's Tuesday. It's Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
Do you think that this latest I don't even know what to call it, lawsuit, this latest situation with Deshaun Watson could give the Browns an out? Could it give them an out with the contract? Oh my gosh, that would be the worst.
And Tyler, that's not bad. That's pretty good, man. I didn't think about that. That's pretty good.
That's the first thing that came to my mind. I mean, maybe that's a bad thing, but like
that's how you get out of that contract.
That situation's still so preposterous to me. It's like, dude, you're Deshaun Watson. You are a starting NFL quarterback. You balled at Clemson. How do you get yourself in that situation?
Instagram.
No, it's because you've been doing stuff like this for a long time and getting away with it. People been enabling you for years because of your talent level, and you just like people like that Winona Ryder that got busted for shoplifting. After a while, you just start doing it. You don't think about it because you're so used to doing it and getting away with it.
So Ohio Brad says there are absolutely things in his contract about further legal issues.
Maybe,
but would that be further legal issues from the future?
I don't think.
Or further legal issues. So like if 25 and 26 come out, you're done, which is insane. It's really asinine to think about.
That's where we really draw the line.
It's like 20 of them, and he's like not guilty at all.
That's where $800 an hour comes into play, and then they decide on how that terminology and verbiage is done and what it means. I think.
Fair enough.
You know what I mean?
I mean, it could be something in there, like if any further, even from your past transgression. Like I don't know the contract. I mean,
I think that would take away the guaranteed. I think more people would be talking about that.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, depends on how many people had actually access to the contract.
I just think it's perfect timing for what's going on and the way you played and everything. It's like, you can't write this up. Like, you can't make it up.
What's the opposite of balling? Like, because that's what he's doing.
Falling.
I mean, that's what he's doing. I mean, it was great as like one of the worst quarterback performances of all time.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
Well, for Ohio Brad, who pays attention to Cleveland media, I can't say that any of us on this panel do that, Ohio Brad, so we're thankful for your fandom to keep us updated on this. He said it was one of the big things Barry addressed in the initial press conference. All he said was there are things in the contract to protect the team. So we'll find out. We'll see what the future
out there
holds. Zach Lesnar says, is this the worst trade contract in sports history? I think when it comes to the contract, honestly, both sides of it, it's up there.
I can't compare it to the NBA.
Caveman gave his answer.
Both times Wayne Gretzky got traded, I think, were worse than this, to be honest with you.
See, I can't compare it to other sports, but for like football, I can't think of a.
The only other one that comes to mind is Herschel Walker, right?
But there's not like
$250 million fully guaranteed.
And the thing about Herschel Walker is it totally transformed the Cowboys situation. That one deal and the picks that they got and everything is what propelled them into all the success that they had.
Because they sent him to Minnesota.
Yeah. And that was the picks that allowed him to get like Aikman and Irvin and Emmitt Smith.
And there's like... It's tough to make any other analogies outside of quarterback, too, just because, like, that's such an integral part of your football. I mean, obviously, it goes without saying, part of your football team. So it's like, that's an eyesore that you're going to wear for a long time.
Well, if I'm Cleveland, I'm searching high and wide for a guy that is a great motivational speaker who eats W's. You don't got to go very far at all. You got Jameis Winston right there. Don't even go into week 2 with Deshaun Watson. Don't even worry about it. Just go ahead and start cutting your ties with him. Figure out how you're going to save that money and then move on. Go Jameis Winston and figure out what other quarterbacks it will give you a shot to win if Jameis doesn't work out.
Got to be obsessed with the situation.
Exactly.
Obsessed with the moment. That's what he said. That's what he said.
Where my dog's at?
Yeah.
All right, man. Max, one more segment or you gotta go? All right, one more segment. We're going to have Max and Tyler make their picks. You're listening to the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida. We'll be right back.
ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the Coach James Hale Show.
All right, we got a winner. Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
Chop on, Coach. Chop on.
Who is this?
This is Dustin Garney.
Congratulations. You going to take me with you?
Well, shucks, Coach. You're always welcome.
I love
You're buying lunch, though.
Weekday morning 7 to 9. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Golf is a game that should be fun, but to have the most fun, you need to play your best. That's where the experts at Golf Plus come in. Their friendly staff will guide you through the buying process, answer all your questions, and can help with any repairs you need along the way. Golf Plus is your custom fitting, club repair, and golf retail shop. Golf Plus staff is non-commissioned and will work with you to find the best product for your game, just like they've been doing since 1988. Golf Plus in Dothan and Panama City Beach. Fitting, repair, retail. That's Golf Plus.
Hey there, folks. Looking for a place that feels like home right in the heart of Panama City? Well, look no further than Charlie Corm's place at their new location on 15th Street. Charlie Corm's is not just a place, it's an experience. Imagine cozy corners, friendly faces, and the aroma of delicious dishes that'll make your taste buds dance. From sunrise breakfast to late night bites, Charlie Corm's on 15th Street has it all. Charlie Corm's place on 15th Street is now offering exclusive weekday lunch specials. Visit Charlie Corm's place on 15th Street. Look for the giant mural.
He doesn't live paycheck to paycheck. He lives transaction to transaction. I need about 350. David Hayes is part of the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Appreciate Will Levis make me look like a good.
Well, now we're live. All right. Caveman Rick bringing us in here. Yeah, we're talking a little Titans-Bears action. Do got to get Max a hat. Hopefully we can make that happen this week so that next Tuesday he can come in donning the hat. If you don't want a Bears hat either, though, you could do whatever as long as it's a team that you follow.
Are you?
Right, that doesn't narrow down to about 50 schools, right?
That is true. Maybe we'll just get him an SEC hat with all the schools.
It just needs more.
If you say sucks enormous. If you sent me a nice polo, I'll probably wear it. So
send you a nice polo?
No, I'm saying like this I got for free, so I'll wear it. It's not like I'm going out of my way to go buy a Bama polo. I have an Auburn one too.
Get him a Grateful Dead hat with a Teddy bear.
To go with that polo.
Yeah, there you go, man. I'm not going shopping for you, bud. Like, you got to tell me what you want.
And hold hands walking through the store.
No, we can do that. That's just a portrayal of beautiful friendship.
Yeah, we put on some Knowles shirts.
Be cool with like a hat, tie-dye hat. It's got like maybe the skull logo on the back and maybe the bear on the front or something. Pretty dope.
All right, we're getting off track here.
Tangent Tuesday.
Yeah, you got tangents we don't want to go down. Week 3. I haven't updated the standings here, but Max and Tyler are going to make their picks. We've got our college football games, and then we've got our NFL football games. Let's start off with our Friday game. The 20th team in the land, Arizona, taking on 14 K-State. K-State, the Wildcats, Avery Johnson and them, 7-point favorite. Over-under total sitting at 58.5. 7 p.m. kickoff. Who's starting? Tyler.
Yeah, K-State really struggled with Tulane. He pointed at me. I don't know.
Following directions. Real good.
We should have had Rick answer after he pointed at me. He said Tyler. keep listeners on edge. K-State, I'm going to go with on this one. I don't know if they'll necessarily cover. Pretty uninspiring effort against Tulane. Had to squeak it out. But, yeah, that's my 2 cents on that one.
Ooh, and who does Tulane? Oklahoma.
Yeah. That's Friday night road game. I always like the home team, K-State. I'm high on K-State till they make me prove or bet otherwise. But it's a shame this wasn't a Saturday game because this was probably be game day if it was a Saturday kickoff.
Possibly.
I mean, the others,
LSU South Carolina. Or going to South Carolina.
Williams Bryce is going to be rocking.
Yeah.
First time in like 14 years ago.
All my family. Brian Kelly.
What'd you think of that game as a South Carolina supporter? Can we call you that?
Hype.
Yeah.
Dude, I hate Kentucky. I'm a Hoosier.
Oh.
I love to see that. That was a double whammy.
Yeah.
I'm happy for the Cox. See if Beamer ball prevails, but Cock Commanders, baby. We took it to Kentucky, and I would love to see him beat LSU too. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not. But would I love to see Brian Kelly's seat very hot? Yes, because he's a murderer.
Murdering programs or
both?
If he loses, do you think he breaks the table this time, like pounding his fist?
Yeah, Notre Dame. Look it up. They had to get a huge class action suit.
Yeah, no, there's a kid. He was like
from my area.
Practice. They sent him up like one of those.
And he was like, please don't send me up. And he's like, if you don't go up there, you're fired.
Yeah.
So they had to pay the family off like $25 million or something. So that's an expensive buyout right there.
Anyway, I just want to be able to take the air all the way out.
I just think Brian Kelly's a dirtball, and I'm kind of happy he lost to USC. Like, he's not a good person.
I would agree. I think he's kind of angry man.
Yeah, he needs to.
Like I said, you seen the way when he lost, he was pounding the table. Like if they lose this weekend, dude, he's gonna break a table.
He's gonna go WWE on him.
You see how red his
He's gonna
face
go pick out one of the reporters and just slam him through the
his
table.
face was so red. He looked like he was outside in minus 20-degree weather, or he just polished off like 3 bottles of alcohol.
I don't know. Most of the time when I'm looking at Brian Kelly, it's on the opposite end of losing big time games. So his face is always red when I'm watching him.
Have you seen I Think You Should Leave? All those skits.
Is that a TV show?
Yeah.
I think.
No, Tim Robinson. No. There's a skit where he crashes into a clothing store.
Yeah.
In one of those Oscar Mayer Wiener hot dog mobiles.
Yeah.
And he comes out in the hot dog suit and he's like, "We're all trying to find the guy who did this," and that's Brian Kelly. When he's like, "We can't."
I do know Tim Robinson though, because he's got it's way off the wall. Yeah.
But he's the classic we need to find and hold people accountable. It's dude, you are the one we need to hold accountable. You just got lost to FSU twice in a row on prime time, and now this. Dude, learn how to win week 1.
Yeah, there you go. Or schedule easier games, which I don't think he was a part of any of the scheduling of the games that they've played to this point to open up their season.
Yeah.
So we'll see. And when you see, a few years from now, if he's still part of LSU and they're scheduling easier games for week 1, maybe there could be you're holding himself accountable.
Maybe he'll play Napier. Napier will come home to Louisiana Lafayette.
There you go. All right, number 4 in the land, Alabama, traveling up to Camp Randall to take on the Badgers of Wisconsin. Wisconsin is a 15.5-point dog here, and we will use the spread for this game. Tyler, lead us off. Wait, did you ever pick the
K-State? Yeah,
okay,
I think I did. This one's tough. The way Alabama played against South Florida is uninspiring, but I'm still gonna bet on the better athletes and the better team overall. So give me Bama with the points.
Right State Chris
points, I guess.
Right State Chris says Brian Kelly helped birth Cincy football. Wouldn't be in the Big 12 without him. He says he loves and hates that man. Zach says K-State close, and he also has Alabama by 10. Max, Bama, Wisconsin. All right, we're gonna be jumping around.
They're going to cover, but they're not going to win.
All right.
Sorry, Wisconsin. You can jump around when you're down 10 in the third quarter.
Over or under?
What's total?
51.5.
I got to see the weather because the weather's actually a little wonky in the Midwest right now, but I would lean the under.
All right, there you go.
A lot of run-heavy offenses, and Wisconsin's offense can't do anything.
Max is over here giving his best Brian Kelly impression by banging on the table a couple times right there. Please don't. All right, moving on here. Where college game day is number 16 LSU at South Carolina. South Carolina 7-point dog, not utilizing the spread here. Tyler, lead us off again.
Williams-Brice is an awful place to play on 11 o'clock kickoff or noon kickoff. It's hot as all get out, but give me LSU to cover.
There you go. Zach Lesnar reminding everyone that Tyler Van Dyke is the quarterback for Wisconsin. I'm trying to keep things close to the vest here with all of the Wisconsin-Alabama stuff so that I hopefully I'm pushing everyone to take Wisconsin.
Kirk Herbstreit Hayes.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. That's my idol. Zach Lesnar, LSU by a touchdown. LSU, South Carolina.
That is the spread. I'll go with LSU, and begrudgingly, if I'm wrong on that, I'm totally okay with it.
All right, Memphis at Florida State. Florida State 6.5-point favorite here, looking for their first win of the season. However, Memphis 2-0 to this point on the year. Tyler, what do you think of this game?
Listen to Coach James Hale's show. They broke down how this game was not a great matchup for Florida State, which made me really want to pick Memphis. But if Mike Norvell is half the coach that Florida State fans were convinced he was after last year, with a full extra week to prepare for this game, if they don't come out with their hair on fire, 11-8 game kickoff makes that a little tougher. But Florida State's got to win this one. And if not, it's going to get real sketchy in Tallahassee.
Yeah. Oh, dog.
So give me Florida State.
Max Delyden.
Florida State. I wouldn't hate if it got real sketchy in Tallahassee.
Texas A&M and Florida in the swamp. Florida's a 4-point dog. Total sitting at 47.5 for a 2:30 kickoff. Tyler, again, lead us off.
Mike Oko defense going to be tough for Lagway if he ends up playing a good bit. I think they're just going to do a lot to confuse him. And then I don't think Mertz is a different maker. They're enough of a difference maker to win this game, so give me A&M.
All right.
Yeah, I'll take A&M too in the Fraud Bowl here. Both teams stink. I'll go with A&M.
All right. Zach's got LSU by a touchdown, or he's got FSU by 3, and then he takes A&M right there. For that particular game, we'll move on to the Pac-2 game, hosting a former Pac-12 member, number 9 team in the land, Oregon, traveling to Oregon State to take on the Beavers. We are using the spread here. Oregon State is a 16.5 point dog, and the the total is 50.5. So, Max?
Yeah, I'm interested to see this since the disbandment of the conferences, but after watching Oregon last night, after some late night games where admittedly I roped Tyler into taking the worst bet ever, which was Appalachian State plus 20, and they went down like 35-0
in the first quarter.
That was one of those humbling
Who
things.
was App State taking on?
They were at Clemson, and it was one of those ones where it's
they
like
beat them like 60 to something. Huh?
Yeah, none of us, like lost the mortgage or anything on it, but it's one of those times where you're like riding high. You're like, all right, I'm up big on the day. Let's just keep the hot hand. It was like a game I didn't have on my radar. Texted my expert, and I gave him bad confidence too, I think. So I don't fault him, but yeah, we got smoked.
I did pretty good college football and NFL this weekend. Yes, sir. All right, Tyler.
Give me Oregon State. Oregon bit me a couple times now, and
Yeah, Oregon
Duck
State.
fights hurt.
Oregon State's my pick. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
I think they call this game the Civil War, so I think Oregon State's going to really be jacked up for this game in Corvallis. So give me Oregon State to cover. I don't think they win, but give me the cover.
Washington State at Washington, the War of Washington.
Apple Cup.
The Apple Cup, I know. I was just giving it its
Apple
own name.
Cup, yeah.
-4.5. The Huskies are a favorite there. The total sitting at 55.5. We got to scoot through these, boys.
Dude, why the heck Okay, fine. Apple Cup. I'll go with Washington. I just wish it was still Black Friday like it always is.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Big Ten.
Yep.
Whoa.
I don't know enough about either team.
They ruin everything.
Give me Washington at the house.
I mean, look at what they've done to Michigan.
Yeah, they just won the.
They just won the national championship, but now look at them. That's all the Big Ten's fault.
That's just how deep we are.
Yeah. All right, who'd you have, Tyler?
Washington.
All right, Western Kentucky at Middle Tennessee State. This is the mile special of the week.
Oh, nice. The don't care game. Western Kentucky.
Give me the Hilltoppers with red grimace.
All right, Indiana at UCLA. UCLA is a 3-point dog here. Total sitting at 46.5 for a 6:30 game, and prime time for the Hoosiers. How about this?
NBC. Let's go.
Talk about a rarity.
Yeah, but unfortunately we have that 40th birthday, so we won't be there for Beth. But Indiana, I might have that streaming on the beach. Got to go with the Hoosiers. Rourke looks solid. I know this can make me look really stupid. I'm definitely riding the high that we have the opposite record of the Seminoles right now. But just like we all thought. So actually, I would like to also apologize for being so wrong on doing that schedule with FSU and Indiana. Because I think I said 10-2, and really it was 6-6.
All right, fine.
Indiana.
Indiana. Who do you got in Indiana?
I'm not gonna pick against Indiana with Max sitting right here. So let's go Hoosiers, baby.
All right, let's go Bruins. UCF at TCU. TCU is a 0.5 point favorite. That's how close the spread is. They're at the house and they're a 0.5 point favorite. That is not a typo. And the total sitting at 61.5. Max.
UCF. We need a good team in Florida that's closer to us than Miami.
Let's go Knights, baby.
Let's go Knights. All right, to the NFL games. Thursday night football. Bills at Dolphins.
Dolphins. I think Josh Allen's such a fraud.
Give me the Bills.
Yeah, all right. Splitting them up there. Seahawks at the Patriots.
Take the Pats. Good for Mayo, and Geno Smith didn't look that great. I don't know.
Give me the Seahawks.
All right, splitting again. This next game will be right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Coverage starting at 3 o'clock for a 3:05 kickoff. Rams at the Cardinals.
I'll take the Rams. I think they were the better team most of the match against the Lions.
I like the Rams too. Blowing a 17-point lead like that as the Cardinals did, that's tough to come back from.
Yeah, there you go. Good point. Bears at Texans. Sunday night football. We've got the
That's
good
Sunday night football.
Yeah, Sunday night football. Oh, yeah, Caleb Williams is gonna.
Oh whoa!
Hey, he could have a coming out party.
Yeah. I'm taking the Texans though. Dude, Stroud's such a dog. He's making a case for top 2 quarterback in the
coming out of what?
coming out of college football.
The fighting CJ Strouds as well.
All right, and then the Falcons and the Eagles. Eagles are a 6.5 point favorite Monday Night Football.
Hard Rock's already begging me to cash out of my Texans' future to win the division. I'm gonna go with the Eagles.
There you go.
Definitely not picking the Falcons after what we saw this weekend. So
before we cut to commercial, too, quick question: over under on Bills Dolphins? What you guys got?
Oh man,
it's a tough total.
I'd probably go under right now.
Really?
Thursday night games, I feel like
it opened at 51.
I would say under.
I'm going to say over.
I'm going to go
27,
over. I don't trust the
24.
Bills defense. I don't know what it is.
27,
But it's going to be
24.
humid and they're run heavy now.
Yeah.
Like, because it's Brady now, right?
Yeah, Joe Brady.
Yeah,
Both of the Dolphins running backs are hurt, too. Achane and Mostert are hurt.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're DNPing right now, but
Oh, yeah, Barrett Schefter got us with the news.
yeah.
Who needs Twitter when you got...
When you got Barry Schefter, dude, like, I don't even think about Adam
I
Schefter
might as well turn
anymore. off
Schefter and Rappaport on my
Yeah.
notifications.
And then we just start all sharing out Barrett's updates, and we appreciate you, Barrett. I mean, seriously though, it is nice sometimes when you're, don't got time to check, and you're checking your fantasy groups and all that good stuff, and you
I think you
the
checked my
news-
matchup more than me. So
I mean, even got
Well, I would have been checking your matchup very much either if I was you.
everyone laid an egg.
That was a tough one, man.
He even does
but-
little breaking news, got the little alert,
Yeah, he's got the
Whenever he
whole
sends a
thing.
message in my head, I hear like...
Yeah.
And he started to
Get the
do.
facts.
He started to do the recap for us. He did that in the auction league as well. And
It was a good start to my board. I'm not gonna lie. It was a nice
Yeah.
little chuckle first thing this morning.
Yeah,
I
I guess
appreciate
he's got
it.
like the what is it? The
He was
studs and duds.
Yeah, he was nice to me. He just roasted like Amon Ra. He didn't go after.
Yeah. I think we're gonna have to get him on the air and have Barrett do his studs and duds of the fantasy week. Why is that funny, man? I don't think it's funny. I think that he did a good job with his write-ups and everything too. Like those are like press releases, bro.
Yeah. I guess I just don't know how many people are driving back from work and want to hear Barrett studs and duds for our 10-person fantasy leagues.
No, studs.
If I
and
heard
duds-
that, I'd be like, I'm changing the station.
No. Studs and duds for fantasy football in general.
Oh,
not
okay,
just for
that's
leagues,
better.
not
Yeah,
for
if he was
particular
like,
leagues.
Oh, David Hayes' team didn't show up this week. I'd be like, dude, this is not gonna hit.
No, just studs and duds for fantasy football in general. But that is going to do it for Max Delight. We've got to push him on out of here. You guys are riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Don't shake.
Are you ready to go under the lights? Mosley Dolphin football is back.
Wide open down the sideline.
ESPN Northwest Florida brings you live play-by-play coverage all season long. With David Hayes
Touchdown, Mosley Dolphin.
and Kyle Wright.
You take the top off the defense, and the interception turns into points for the Mosley offense.
Exclusively on ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida this Tuesday. For tonight, light sprinkles and a low of 76 with a moderate breeze out of the east around 13 miles per hour. Tomorrow morning, light sprinkles with temps around 79. In the afternoon and evening, possible thunderstorms and moderate rain with a moderate breeze and a temperature near 80. Moving into Thursday, about the same with a high of 84 and likely thunderstorms and moderate rain. This forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros 14 large screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
Hello, this is Rick Vosser with RV of Panama City, your local Stormore portable building dealer, located at 2241 East Baldwin Road. Shopping for a garage, portable building, cabin? We build them anywhere from 8 to 16 foot wide, 10 feet to 60 feet long. We can do insulation, electricity, transom dormers, thermal windows. Come, let's customize a building together. Rick Vossen, Stormore Portable Building Dealer, Panama City.
WPLQ Port St. Joe, WGSX Lynn Haven. Powered by Panama City Toyota.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Who was hired? Who was fired? Trades, drafts, and playoffs. We're talking about it.
That trade, when it was made, was the right trade.
Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs, right here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back, riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs here. David Hayes along with Tyler Bishop, Caveman Rick on the official station for the Atlanta Braves on the Gulf Coast 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. The Braves have the Nationals tonight. It's going to be Reynaldo Lopez going up against Mackenzie Gore. Too much laughing going on in that previous break right there. I think my voice is hoarse from that. What do you think of the game from last night? Fantasy football perspective. Did it bother you that they didn't let the league know or let the media know, essentially, that CMC wasn't playing until an hour and a half before the game?
I mean, from a fantasy football perspective, yeah. I mean, and as far as I know, like, there wasn't even, like, it didn't seem like there was, like, murmurs leading up to, like, hey, you may not want to play CMC.
There was a question mark beside CMC's designation all week long.
Yeah. I mean, they do that all the time, and the guy ends up playing. I mean, I guess as long as San Francisco followed the protocols, then I guess, they don't care about fantasy football, really.
If they told the backup that he was starting on Friday night and they didn't tell the rest of the league that, and it was pretty much already a given, then there's some shenanigans there, and they should be getting fined.
But there's a difference in starting and the guy being out completely. Like, maybe, hey, Christian's going to play, but we're going to count on you to carry the load is different than, like, hey, Christian's not going to play at all.
I hear you. But like I said, the way he, kind of reeled back in what he said, you had to have known somebody got into his ear, and that makes it even more like showing you that there was something being said that shouldn't have been, or they did something that they shouldn't have been doing. So you think he had, an earpiece
on?
No, because they said after that original interview, later on, like, somebody like Shanahan or one of the other coaches probably told him, hey, don't talk about that again or don't bring it up. Because when he was asked about it again, he retracted, and he was like, man, like, I don't want to answer this question, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, because you were a dope and you said something you weren't supposed to say, and now they're mad at you.
I mean, he's kind of just new to the spotlight, so.
New or old, who cares? I mean, like, you let the cat out the bag.
You got to go through mistakes sometimes to learn how to fix that in the future. To me, it's not a big deal at all because, like, betting on it, whatever it may be, hour and a half before game time is when we found out. That's normally when we find out on Sunday mornings. That's normally on afternoon. On Thursday night footballs.
But I guess how many people could have afforded to not play Christian McCaffrey yesterday? On Sunday, I mean, like, if you were like, okay, he's 50-50 to play, like, how many people really had a guy that, you could have put somebody in better than a zero?
Okay, but that's what the flex positions are for, though, right?
Oh, I mean,
because then if you have him down there in your flex, then you can put a quarterback, or not a quarterback, you can put a running back, a wide receiver.
But what are the odds that you had multiple guys? Not everybody has multiple guys.
Well, I'll tell you, whoever you put there was 100% going to be scoring more points than what Christian McCaffrey was.
I guess my point is, like, how many people really would have benched McCaffrey and then be like, oh, he's playing and now I can't play him.
Yeah.
Because of where you took him, you almost feel obligated to play him.
Yeah, I get that, but what's more important? The way that the 49ers handle this thing from their perspective, or like our silly...
Oh, obviously them. I mean, like I said, as long as they follow the guidelines of the NFL the way they're supposed to, I've got no problem with what they do.
Yeah, I just think just the way the player handled that, it shows you a tell that there was something going on that shouldn't have been. But that's just the way I look at it.
Well, now the whole world knows that he might not be playing this Sunday. And what I will find to be so hilarious if he does end up playing.
Did you see what Shanahan said? He's like, I don't know who gave you that update. They must have been God, because we didn't know he wasn't going to play until an hour and a half before last night's game or something like that. So, like, it was just kind of funny. Like, oh, no, we have no idea. We had no idea. So, like, I mean, he was committed to the bit fully. But, I mean, I kind of paraphrased the quote. But, he's like, no, we have no intention on, like, we're not ruling him out right now. So, I mean, we'll see.
We will
on to
see.
Cincinnati.
On to Cincinnati, man. You gotta Bill Belichick that thing sometimes. Man, what do we think about the Cincinnati Bengals? I mean, you lose to the Patriots.
I lost my suicide league. Thanks to them. Thanks a lot, AG and the Bengals. Well, not you, AG, but your team.
So if you look back historically, Joe Burrow has struggled the first 2 weeks of the season.
Yep.
Every year he's been in the league.
Historically.
Hurt.
Yep.
And I mean, T. Higgins not playing, Jamar Chase's contract situation, no Joe Mixon. Like, it was just a bad performance overall. And I don't know how much of it you saw, but there was that stretch where they thought they scored a touchdown by Gesicki. It was overturned. And then the other tight end's about to score and he fumbles on like the 2-yard line. And that just kind of like encapsulated their game.
We need the game. That's like the Bengals franchise in a nutshell there, man.
That too. But, I mean, that game is like just nothing went right for him. And, I mean, the Patriots, I mean, historically under Bill Belichick, and looks like maybe now with Rod Mayo, like, they're a team that if you give them the game, they're going to take it. They're not a team that's going to give it away. And, I mean, they've got Brissett, a nice kind of rock-solid veteran, not going to wow you with anything. But, him playing out there and Ramondre Stevenson and the defense still played pretty well. And so,
most of the time, though, you lose in the turnover department in a game, you're going to lose the game.
Especially in the NFL. You can't afford to lose a turnover battle.
Yep.
Mike says handcuff ? CMC was number one pick in most leagues. Absolutely. But there was still Jordan Mason you picked him up last night in the auction league.
Right. I got that alert, paused what I was doing, picked him up real quick. And I was like, let's go.
You know what's so funny is that when I was sitting there going through, all right, who's going to be my flex players, trying to get all of my lineups set up like Friday night, I think it was. And I was like, Jordan Mason sitting right here. Man, what if CMC gets hurt early in the season? This could be the pickup of the year. Tyler, you might have the pickup of the year in your hand.
If you have CMC, that would be the smart play, is to have that guy like in your draft, pick him up round 12, something like that, just to have that handcuff, that security blanket in case something does happen.
Yeah, it's always nice to have the handcuffs when you can make that happen and when you have the available space to make that happen. Do we think that we're kind of on to the Bengals, I guess, now. I don't think that there's any cause for concern as of right now. Jamar Chase, I really still hate wide receivers and just football players in general being able to hold out until the very first week of the season. I get that that's their prerogative, that they only have so many opportunities to get the bag, if you will, that we don't really know as non-professional athletes first, and then not being NFL players, what that situation actually looks like. I also get from the perspective that I've heard a bunch from former football players is, it's such a big deal getting those contracts, because even after you sign that contract, that really doesn't mean anything, because the NFL can cut you, or the team can cut you, do whatever they will with you, but it's one of those things that affects your team at such a high level, so that kind of stinks.
And I think one of the things that really, you see a guy like Chase, you don't blame him. You see a guy like, Le'Veon Bell back in the day, and you understand it, but then you see a guy like Justin Jefferson who went out and didn't care. I mean, I'm not going to say he didn't care, but he went out, went to training camp. He was there. He was doing the thing, and he knew that the contract was coming regardless. And then he ended up getting hurt at times last year.
Yeah.
And, watching the wide receiver documentary or whatever you want to call it on Netflix, you kind of get to see the whole process played out. And then he ends up getting at the time, the highest paid contract of all time. So it's always interesting seeing the guys who do it that way and the guys who do it the other way. I'm not saying which one's right, which one's wrong, but it's interesting seeing both sides, and, so it is kind of like an apples to apples, because Jamar Chase could have done the same things Justin Jefferson did.
Yeah.
He chose not to, and I'm not saying he's wrong for it, but it's not like it's unprecedented for guys to participate in camp, even though they're still trying to get their deal done.
Which I guess that'll take me to Sam Darnold. Now, the Giants defense, they were supposed to be improved with getting Burns over there, getting Brian Burns over there. The uniforms,
they were terrible.
They were. I felt terrible. Had the pants been white, they would have looked a lot better.
And they tried to look like the Montreal Canadiens with Michigan Wolverine messed up helmets. Yeah.
But uniforms out of the picture. The defense was not very good. Sam Darnold was to complete your first 12 passes of the game, I think is very impressive. To have a wide receiver like Justin Jefferson does a world of good for anyone. Jordan Addison, I think, left the game pretty early on. Yeah. Which obviously he had got carted off in one of their practices pretty early into
with an ankle injury as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Obviously he was able to come back, but
Aaron Jones looked good for him. So what do you think about the possibility with Jordan Love going out for the Packers? Malik Willis is going to be leading them, so you got to think that they take a step back. I don't think that the Bears are a real threat to win the NFC North. Now, they won a game in a fashion in which they would typically lose, like the Titans did what the Bears normally do, which has become a part of the Titans' DNA. But do the Minnesota Vikings have a real shot at possibly being the team to take the Detroit Lions off the high horse?
I don't know if the Vikings have an O-line that can match it with that Detroit Lions D-line, and even vice versa. I mean, that one of the things that makes the Lions so successful, when we saw it in overtime against the Rams, is that offensive line just took over. I mean, it was Dan Campbell was like, we're just going to run the ball down their throats. I'm tired of this crap. It's kind of the way it felt like it happened. I mean, it wasn't even close. They were just straight up shoving them around. David Montgomery felt like he hadn't played in a while. As a spectator, I was like, man, it's feel like it's been a quarter or two since David Montgomery got any action.
Yeah.
And so he came in with fresh legs. And, I mean, they just straight pummeled the Rams on that last drive. And, I mean, I just don't know how many teams in the NFL as a whole, not just the Vikings, but, like, that's a tough – and, you know, they've got a very good defensive line on the other side. Like, that's just a tough – I mean, we talked about it earlier on the show. Football is won in the trenches still today. Give me all the Patrick Mahomes you want, all the Tyree Hills. If you don't have an O-line and a D-line, like, it's going to be tough to win.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I think the Vikings can be a fun team. I mean, I've been a huge fan of what their head coach has done. Sam Darnold has all the talent in the world if he's not seeing ghosts. Obviously, Justin Jefferson's a great player, which is going to elevate his game. But I don't think they're a true threat to the division. But, I mean, if depending on how the rest of the NFC plays out, they could be fighting for a wild card because, like you said, the division may be hurting for a little bit.
There you go. One last NFL thing, and then we'll finish out the show with college football because that's what we have Tyler in here for college football. And I was going to do our fantasy football league updates, but I think I'll save that for tomorrow. We'll do that Wednesday, let everyone get their waiver wire picks in and all of that good stuff, and then we'll shout out all the scores. I think what I need to do, Caveman Rick, is just do a league a day. So instead of trying to do all of the scores. So I think that's what we'll start doing is doing recaps on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, because Monday, obviously, matchups are still yet to be determined at that point in time. And I benefited very largely last night from Christian McCaffrey not playing in that game in the auction league because who was it? Jacob, I believe, is who I was playing against, and he forgot to set his line or forgot to take him out because he had CMC, he had Breece Hall playing last night, and he also had Jake Moody, the kicker.
Moody probably scored more than Holland. Obviously CMC combined at that point.
Yeah, because I think Breece Hall had like 17 or so. And so, yeah, that was that was getting down to the nitty gritty. But my last question is, did you get to check out any of the Cowboys and the Browns game just for the sake of the newest color commentator, who is the highest paid color commentator in the game? You might get amassed all of the other B squad commentators in the NFL, and Brady might be making more than all of them. I
didn't get a chance to check it out a whole lot. I did not hear glowing reviews about it. I heard somebody was like, yeah, man, they should probably listen to him talk before they gave him his contract.
Yeah,
I would agree from what I
But I heard the cadence was kind of weird. Like, he just didn't have a natural flow. And maybe part of that was nerves. Maybe part of that was, like, trying to find his own rhythm. So I'm always willing to give guys a game or two for sure. But you would think he would have had a couple trial runs, maybe in the studio, like watching old game footage. And been like
preseason games and stuff.
Yeah, right. This is what happens when you don't play your starters in the preseason. They come out week one, they're rusty, and, you know, people have their minds made up. But no, I didn't get a chance to check it out. But definitely looking forward to catching him on a game later this year.
I think he's going to be fine. I really do. Now, I've said this to other people who have done play-by-play and who have done color, and they're like, I don't know, man. Play-by-play seems or is the tougher position. But for me, it would seem to be color because you, like with play-by-play, I'm just sitting there painting the picture the entire time, right? And then pausing to let the color guy, you know, explain what it is he's seeing, and then he's got to wrap up by the time that the ball's ready to move again. So I think that's the thing. I felt like a lot of the things that Tom Brady said were things that only Tom Brady's mind is going to give you the insight on. And so that was one thing that I was just kind of hanging on to some of his words. However, there was a lot of times where it's like, oh man, you need to be talking right here, and it's nothing.
There was a lot of dead air.
Kevin Burkhardt. I believe with Kevin Burkhardt, it was like one of those things where you're like, all right, Tom, like talk. Okay, well, I'll just keep talking then, and we'll go to a break. So there was some moments with dead air, but that's what, you know, one of the things is once he figures that out, once he figures out his flow, his role in the whole thing, he's got the insight for it. He's got the voice. I don't think matters because we're not sitting here listening to Greg Olsen because of his voice. No one's saying, man, like the voice of Tony Romo. No, it's like the insight that these guys have, the takes, the perspectives that they have that are their own, is something that, like, that's what we're looking for, at least me.
Yeah, there's just a side comment. Really has nothing to do with Tom Brady, but there's a thing about Eli Manning last night. He's like, yeah, I watched every snap that Aaron Rodgers played last year preparing for this game tonight or something like that, which was, 3 or 4 snaps?
Yeah.
It's like, Eli Manning and Peyton, I feel like, really started to come in their own. I mean, it was always been kind of entertaining, but I think they're really starting to find their niche, and they had Bill Belichick on for a little bit last night. That was pretty good.
I wish I would have watched more of the Manning cast last night. I didn't watch any of it, so, you know, to watch a minute of it would have been more. But, yeah, that's it's one of my favorite It would be something that honestly I would like to watch after the game.
Yeah.
Because when you're watching the game live, I feel like sometimes it takes away from the game because they're so entertaining to an extent that they're talking about something that really doesn't have to do with this game here. And then they have great guests on too, and you're like,
and I feel like some of the guests take away. Like they had Adam Sandler last night, and it's like Adam Sandler's probably a great guest, but like I don't, you know,
what does he bring it to this quarter right here?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
so it's kind of iffy on times.
The Brady thing too, real quick. I think maybe people are being too nice because it's Tom Brady, and they're used to like him just being so good at everything, or they think so. And like, had it not been Tom Brady and that just been one of us or somebody that we've never heard of, would there be that much grace? Would everybody be like, oh, give this guy another chance?
No, there wouldn't be. No, of course not.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, you know, crush the guy for his first, you know, thing. You know, honestly, if he did a bad job, say he did a bad job. Why
for
everybody got to step on eggshells and like, oh my God, we might upset Tom Brady?
I don't think that. Well, all right, here's one thing I could tell you. I know I'm not upsetting Tom Brady. I don't care if I sit here and call him terrible or whatever. Tom Brady's never going to hear that. However,
he might.
All right, still, even if he was hearing it.
Nice.
Still, like, that's neither here nor there for me as someone who, it's like if I'm watching you run the board for the first time and you make a mistake, I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, how in the world did you let that happen? Because I've made that same mistake, right? So with that being said, being that I have done this side of things, not to the NFL level by any stretch of the imagination, but even still then, it's like, I know how hard it can be. So I do have to give him that grace there. And I guarantee you one thing, because Fox has already paid him, they did not, like, he probably should have been getting more reps, if you will. And one thing I do think that we'll see is he'll go back, he'll watch his entire broadcast, and he will continue to get better at it. And I think that it's just because of all the winning and everything that he's done throughout his career of doing this, we are going to be enlightened on some really cool stories from his career that you just don't get unless it's Tom Brady in a live fashion. You know what I mean? Because it's totally different when you're having a conversation and he's on Pat McAfee and these are the talking points that we're going to have. When you're sitting there and it's just you and a guy up there talking football, sometimes you get some pretty fun stories and blowouts.
Going on.
Yeah. Yeah, some Tangent Tuesday. So I enjoyed it. Did I think he was great? No, I wouldn't even say that I think he was good. I just know I feel like he's got the potential
for sure
to be good. Texas, that big win in Ann Arbor. Where do you have Texas? Like, if you were to put your Tyler's poll, I was going to say AP, but that wouldn't be AP. Tyler Bishop, the TB poll. Where's Texas ranking for you? What would your top 5 be?
I mean, I'd probably put Georgia, Texas, Ohio State. And then honestly, like, I mean, I'd almost be tempted to put Tennessee at 4 with the win over NC State. And then 5, I mean, you're really kind of just splitting hairs between some guys who've blown out some bad teams like an Ole Miss or a Missouri. I mean, where do you put Bama in that? You know, they blew out Western Kentucky and then struggled with USF at home for 3 quarters. So, like, I think after that,
more than 3 quarters, really.
I mean, I think after 4, it kind of gets a little iffy. I mean, and like I said, I'm not saying I think Tennessee's the number 4 team, but based on what we've seen so far, it's not outrageous to put them there.
Right. And what's interesting to me about Tennessee is, you know, Nico's getting all the love for it. It really is not about Nico. Like, y'all saw that in the first game, but in that second game, that North Carolina State game, it was because they've got a good defense and they've got a good run game, which helps Nico out a lot. But he threw 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions in that game against a not so great North Carolina State defense.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I said,
but they were on the road.
Yeah. Was it on the road or was it a neutral? It was a neutral site.
Was it a neutral site?
It was Charlotte for the Dukes kickoff, whatever.
Yeah.
But Texas, the Texas game kind of went about what I expected. I did not expect Michigan to be uber competitive in that one. And I mean, they lost so much. They don't have the quarterback. They don't have the running back. I mean, and we don't really know what we think of Sharon Moore as a head coach right now.
Yeah.
Like, he won a couple games last year, and that's great, but that was a loaded team coached by Jim Harbaugh. So I'm not super sold on Michigan's future as a whole with him. He doesn't have a signed contract, which I think is a very poor decision on his part.
Yeah.
But going into Ann Arbor and beating.
How often is that a head coach doesn't have a signed contract?
Very rarely. I don't know how that whole thing has played out, but it does not sound like a great thing for him.
Maybe they're just trying to get Stallions back.
Maybe. Did you see he lost his head coaching interview in high school? Like 60
he's not
to
even the head coach. He was the
interim because the guy had a stroke.
I did not see that part.
He had a stroke or something like that. So he's the interim head coach, and they still lost like 60-0 in his first game as a head coach.
Y'all got to get better at what you're doing in between the games, and I'm not talking about practice, Connor.
But going into Ann Arbor winning, people are saying that's the best win in the country. I'm okay admitting that. That's fine. If you want to call it that, I think you could argue that the Georgia Clemson game is a slightly bigger win, but that, based on what Michigan lost last year, and kind of seeing what Clemson did to App State, is better than what Michigan did versus Fresno.
Where about Boston College's win?
Boston College's win is a win over a winless team, and then they beat Duquesne. So, 59 points on Duquesne is something to write home about.
I tell you what, man. Bill O'Brien's got them boys eagling.
That's going to be a fun game. Them versus Mizzou, because we don't really know what Mizzou's about yet. They played 2 cupcakes.
Right.
Boston College has played a team in Florida State that has struggled, and they played Duquesne. Where are both teams at? Is Missouri really a top 6 team? I don't know.
Yeah.
Is Boston College really a top 25 team? I don't know yet.
Most of Missouri's hype is still from last year. Yeah.
And if they play to a 28-24 game, does that mean Boston College is closer to number 6 than 25, or does that mean Missouri's closer to 25 than 6?
Yeah.
It's a really weird game. We don't have a ton of bearings yet, and that's just part of the problem with preseason polls and early season polls. We just don't know enough about any team. We're basing it so much off last year, and now with the transfer portal and everything, so much turnover, it's hard to gauge. But it's gonna be. I'm interested. That's gonna be a fun game. I'm kind of surprised Game Day didn't choose to go there, especially after Boston College, as a backup plan, maybe after Boston College beat Florida State. But hey, they're going to the Williams-Brice, and they'll be welcomed there with open arms, and that should be an interesting game as well. Carolina beating the brakes off Kentucky. LSU
in Kentucky too, which was
LSU struggling a little bit at times this weekend against a cupcake. Maybe some of that's the short week and some of it's the track game.
They had Nicholls State, yeah.
And they won the game by a few scores, but nothing crazy. But it's kind of an up and down weeks so far in college football. Some really weird upsets. I'm going to shout out my Dogs' 41 straight regular season wins. Kirby Smart is now number 4 all time in games coached as a head coach at number 1 in the AP poll. Number 4 all time.
Who's number 1?
Nick Saban. It's not even close.
Yeah.
So I think it's Saban. It's at 98.
So
and then I think it's
Bobby
Bowden and I think it's Paterno were tied at 45.
And that probably doesn't include their vacated wins, right?
I'm not sure
because they would. I would imagine Saban would be behind them if it wasn't for those.
No, I don't think. Games coached at number 1 overall.
Okay, gotcha.
I think Saban's run was just so dominant.
Yeah.
And then but Kirby Smart's in there over guys like Pete Carroll, Bear Bryant.
What Kirby's doing is very.
I got to give them a little love. I don't know. I don't toot the horn too often, but they've got a chance this year to break the all-time regular season wins record, which was set by Oklahoma in the 50s, and they're the first ever SEC team to hit the 40 mark. So
there you go. Go Dogs. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs, and we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with our final segment of the afternoon.
Are you ready to go under the lights? Mosley Dolphin football is back. ESPN Northwest Florida brings you live play-by-play coverage all season long. With David Hayes.
Touchdown, Mosley Dolphins!
And Kyle Wright.
And the interception turns into points for the Mosley offense.
The Mosley Dolphins take on rivals Niceville, Rutherford, and the Bay Tornadoes. Exclusively on ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida this Tuesday. For tonight, light sprinkles and a low of 76 with a moderate breeze out of the east around 13 miles per hour. Tomorrow morning, light sprinkles with temps around 79. In the afternoon and evening, possible thunderstorms and moderate rain with a moderate breeze and a temperature near 80. Moving into Thursday, about the same with a high of 84 and likely thunderstorms and moderate rain. This forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Visit the newly remodeled Mid-South Lumber Hardware and Feed Store in Youngstown. They have a full line of plumbing, electrical, hardware, and tools for your DIY home projects, as well as lumber and animal feed. Now offering not only baby chicks and a full line of poultry supplies, but also bunnies and parakeets. They also carry a wide selection of Duplin wines and gourmet products so you don't have to drive to the beach. Come see us at Mid-South Lumber on Highway 231 in Youngstown.
Bestway Portable Buildings has been your portable building specialist since 1989. Before you invest your hard-earned money someplace else, owner Jason Mulder invites you to stop by Bestway and get a quote on just about any size building. And whether you buy with Bestway or not, it's worth the trip just to meet Bestway Buddy. Say hello, buddy. Good boy. Bestway Portable Buildings, just north of Harts Marine on 231, and online at bestwayportablebuildings.com. The best in portable, period. Tell them Buddy sent ya.
But to be the man, you gotta beat the man. It's the Afternoon Underdogs on the Sports Talk Monster. You're gonna be mine. Woo! ESPN Northwest Florida.
We're back. It's our final segment of the day here on ESPN Northwest Florida 104.3, Panama City 101.9, and Port St. Joe. I'm David Hayes, along with Tyler Bishop and Caveman Rick. We're the Afternoon Underdogs, and the Atlanta Braves are coming up here. First pitch, 5:45. Reynaldo Lopez on the bump for the Braves. He'll be taking on Mackenzie Gore. Let's go over some of these volleyball scores from last night real quick. North Florida Christian takes down Mariana 3-0. Freeport takes down Bay 3-2. Godby over Alta 3-1. Franklin County takes down Weewaw 3-1. Shipley shutting out Sneeds 3-0. Rutherford over Holmes County 3-1, and then Niceville falls to South Walton 3-1. The seeding there for Niceville and South Walton on Max Preps. Niceville the number 1 team and South Walton the number 5 team. So a little bit of an upset there. In the games for this evening, Holmes County is currently hosting Bethlehem. Weewaw's hosting Rutherford. Sneeds is hosting Vernon. Cottondale hosting Mariana. Rocky Bayou Christian is hosting Freeport. Liberty County hosting McClay. Community Christian hosting Franklin County. Arnold hosting Mosley over there. Arnold, so that'll be a good one. Bozeman is hosting North Bay Haven. And Crestview has got Niceville. Walton hosting Destin. Walton hosting Destin. Honestly, I've got to sneeze, and I'm like trying to hold it in so hard. Port St. Joe's hosting Rickards. Geneva County hosting Bethlehem. And then Geneva County also hosting Holmes County. So not sure how that's working out. Maybe they got 2 volleyball squads. But let's go to a non-upset in college football. It was in prime time on NBC, 6:30 kickoff. They were coming and they got what they came for. What'd you think of that Nebraska win? Really domination over Colorado.
I mean, I'm kind of glad because it makes me feel very confident. I have opinions about college football and football as a whole sometimes, and I'm like, maybe I'm just a little biased against this guy or this team for whatever reason. But when my biases line up with the results on the field, I feel a little bit more validated. But, I kind of made the joke last week on the show, like you couldn't find 2 coaches more different than Matt Rule and Deion Sanders. And,
Yeah.
They were at 28-0 at the half.
Yeah, and the final score ended up being 28-10.
Yeah, so
it was a boring game after half.
Oh yeah, no, it was terrible.
It was a boring game in general.
But Nebraska was just better on both lines of scrimmage, and it doesn't matter all the shiny toys you have there with Shador Sanders and Travis Hunter and Jimmy Horn. Like if you can't block and you can't play D-line, you're just not going to win many games. And looking at Colorado's schedule before the season, it looked rough. It's not looking any better now for them. They may beat Colorado State this weekend, but after that, it's going to be a tough road for them.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see what Matt Rule's doing. I'm a huge Matt Rule fan. I've been a big believer in his as a program builder. Been successful at Temple, been successful at Baylor, less successful in Carolina. But
ownership's got a lot.
That's proven not to be
that.
just a him situation. So I'm super interested to see what he does with Nebraska, and if he stays at Nebraska long term.
I think Carolina needs to bring Jake Delhomme as as the head coach.
Man, would Florida reach out for Matt Rule? Ooh, that would be interesting and scary.
Would he leave Nebraska right now, though? Because it's like,
wouldn't you have to? He's been in Nebraska.
I don't know, because
2 years. Like
you got
Nebraska's got a ceiling that Florida doesn't have. They've got Raiola, but Florida's got Lagway.
That's what I was about to say. Is like, yeah, you got Raiola over there, but you got Lagway.
I hope Florida don't make that, because that would be a great move.
I think it just depends on which like conference he thinks is going to be easier for him to make headway. You know what I mean? I mean, he's already kind of made a name for himself, so it's not about making a name. It's just about probably winning.
That's what someone has brought up for the reason why they think that that FSU supporters and boosters think that they could land Lane Kiffin because the lane to the playoff would be less tumultuous in the ACC. I think,
but it's a way weaker conference, man.
Right, but
that's what makes it easier.
No, I know, but like, I mean, yeah, it's easier, but like, because it's easier, it's like it's tougher. You know what I'm saying? Because the excuse is always going to be you come out of an easier conference, right? Mm-hmm. And your competition is lesser than like the SEC or like, you know, like a Big 10 or Big 12.
But if you're winning the conference you're in, so
if you have like less, like if there's only like 2 other teams that compete with instead of like a dozen or like, you know,
which makes the path easier though.
It does, but it's easier to get in, but you're like, it's easier.
You're not battle tested.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
but,
right.
But I mean, like, there's no way they fire Norvell this year, right? 0% chance.
I'm going to hold off on that one until after what we see happens this Saturday.
I don't think they could afford to.
Fair.
But literally, like, monetarily afford
I think boosters can find money if they want it bad enough. It's just like, I mean, you can do a dumb move like that.
Here's the other thing, though. What in the world's going to go on with the lawsuits? Because if you're Florida State and you're Clemson, you have to back down from what you said of, like, we're the reason why this conference is what it is. Like, the conference at this point in time looks like it's passing you by, and I know that that's a hot take right now because exactly, because it's, you know, we're not even a quarter way through the season, and saying things like that is you know, a little out of pocket.
Like 500 though, since that statement was basically made, correct?
No, they're 0%.
Well, now I'm talking about this season. I'm talking about like overall, like the record.
When that stuff started happening that was after the College Football Playoff Committee snubbed Florida State out of the playoff, right? They didn't make that.
I think they started some of that like before the season last year.
Yeah. Was it before the season,
or at least during the season? I think it was before the snub, but still, like it's not a great look when you do that and then you come out and then like Clemson getting embarrassed opening day. Or granted, they embarrassed App State, but like Florida State embarrassing themselves twice in 8 days, and then Clemson coming out like, it's like, oh, that's a rough way to start. Granted, Georgetown in the ACC, but
Chef Chris says 0% chance you get rid of Mike Norvell, even if he has a bad year. All but maybe 10 teams currently would take him as a head coach. I think that's with a hot that take. I'm with that to a percentage rather. But my thing is right now as it stands, no, 0% chance. But if you go 0-3, and one of those losses, all right, now you got the excuse of, all right, we had to travel to Dublin, and all right, we were tired from Dublin, even though we had an extra day, you know, and we had 2 conference games. And I get that. Like, some of those might not feel like valid excuses, but I think that there is some validity to it. Nothing is valid with the Dublin thing. That was a scheduled game. Georgia Tech had to go through the same exact things. But with that being said, you lose to Memphis. That's where I'm not saying that you're going to get fired, but your seat has now become in between warm and hot.
I'm saying though, I think Norvell will go 0-12 and not get fired this year.
See, I don't know how any coach at the college football level.
I don't think you can go from last year's record and go basically winless and keep your job.
I mean, I don't think he goes. I don't think he goes winless, but I don't think they can afford to do it.
And that's where this all comes into play, though, right? It's all about money at that point, and not because if you go 0-12 after, you know, the 13-0 season really helps you. 13-1, 13-1 season that really propels you into next season with a very good foundation. But then you lose to, and Memphis could be a really good team, but still going 0-3, man, for the Florida State fans.
And then the way Cal looked against Auburn, like them coming into Tallahassee next week,
and that's going to be under the lights.
I mean, honestly, like, and I'm not even being facetious right now. Looking at Florida State's schedule, outside of Charleston Southern, there's not a gimme win on that schedule.
Yeah, anymore.
I thought there was like 6 or 7 of them going into the year.
Chef Chris, he's got a few of them here, so I want to get to these as well. And Kyle Alberton's got one because we've only got 8 minutes before we've got to get out of here. DJ at QB is worth 6 losses. DJU is he's talking about. But so Chef Chris says the game of the year will be November 16th, Tennessee at Georgia. The winner of that game is going to be the number 1 seed after they win the SEC. The loser is going to get a playoff home game against the G5 sacrifice to the college football gods. 1v16 in college basketball is 154-2, which those 2 wins.
Virginia, right?
Well, Virginia versus.
But didn't they lose both, or was it just them, or did they just lose one?
I think they just lost one because I want to say the other one was it Kentucky?
I thought Kentucky was like a 2 seed.
Yeah, they lost to St. Peter's a few years ago. Off the top of my Purdue, that's right. Okay. It was Purdue because Purdue, as a higher seed, they'd lost the previous year as a 2 seed, and then they lost as a 1 seed. But anyways, how long? This is the question. All of that leads into this. And how long does it take for a 12 seed to beat a 5, which is looking like will almost always be a SEC team at home?
I don't think it'd be. It's hard to say never, but I just don't believe in the 12 seed because I think you're looking at the G5,
but it doesn't always have to be the G5 seed. Sometimes it doesn't be Notre Dame.
But I think not. Oh yeah, that's even better right now, right? I just think 9 times out of 10 it's going to end up being a G5 champ or like the 4th or 5th team from the SEC or Big Ten, and I just don't think you're looking at a great team overall there. And to his point, I'm going to take the hot take that Tennessee doesn't even sniff the SEC championship game this year. But we'll talk about that a different day. But I get it's hard to say. Maybe there's a team like a Georgia or a very good team going into the year. I want to use Georgia because I don't want to sound like a homer, but maybe like a Bama or somebody like that. Maybe they have a couple key injuries early in the year. Guys come back healthy. They make a late run, get in, and go on a Cinderella type run. But I just don't think the average 12 seed is going to be very competitive.
And what have we seen really? UCF raising the banner in 2017. But you've got Boise State from back in the day, but
Cincinnati back, a couple years back.
Yeah, but Cincinnati, what did they do when they got there?
Not very good.
The other teams actually did something when they got there.
Boise State never got to get there though.
Cincinnati made the playoff. But then they lost.
Well, but UCF did make the playoff. Boise
State never had an opportunity.
Right. That was well before time. Yeah. But still, they got onto the stage with a team that was ranked well above them, that was more powerful than them, and they got the win. TCU, again, a totally different story, and everyone complains about them being in the championship against Georgia, but they did what they had to do in a 14 playoff to get to that championship game. It wasn't like they got voted into the championship game. They got voted into the top 4, and then they beat Michigan. And they beat Michigan not handedly, but they took care of business.
They did what they had to do. Game,
yeah.
Connor Stallions didn't seal enough their signals, I guess.
Well, they were a small enough school that I guess they didn't show up on the radar. They didn't think they'd be playing them, so I guess they didn't bother to scout.
He didn't have any friends in Dallas Fort Worth he could quote unquote give tickets to for fun.
Well, and the opposite could be said about Kirby Smart and the Dogs then, because they definitely took care of business and wasn't even going to leave a shadow of a doubt about that. That might have been one of the most boring national championship games, unless you're a Georgia.
I was about to say I enjoyed that one. Yeah. And thoroughly enjoyed that one.
Well, because it's the same way. When you're an Alabama fan, I hate to keep on throwing a team that deserves to be thrown under the bus all the time, but Notre Dame.
Yeah.
When we played them, what was it, 2012 or
2012.
Yeah.
Look at them losing to Northern Illinois this past weekend.
Well, I was kind of segueing into that, it was one of those games where I doubt that was fun for the rest of the world to watch. Even college football enthusiasts, but from a Alabama fan's perspective, it was a ton of fun. Last topic of the day that we'll have time for: Notre Dame. Are they done here after a loss, paying $1.4 million to Northern Illinois? Are they done? Are there playoff chances? Now, we've said if they go 9-3, I think that's pretty much the cutoff. But does a loss like this absolutely kill the chances? No,
not at all.
Okay.
They still got to beat USC.
Okay. They still have Florida State on the schedule, which could, because of the timing of the Florida State game, Florida State could bounce back and be sitting there at, maybe the 7th, 8th, 9th game. And then we don't got Notre Dame over here on our little Jim Durant schedule. But with the timing of that game, if Florida State's looking a little bit better, that could help propel them.
They've got Louisville in a couple weeks, which may end up a ranked matchup.
Yep.
Georgia Tech, and I'm not saying Georgia Tech's a big name, but if Notre Dame goes 11-1. They're not being left out. Granted, losing to a team like Northern Illinois makes the chances of winning out the next 9 games, or 10 games, whatever it is, seem a little less likely than before. But, no, it doesn't kill them. I think it gives, they're not getting in at 9-3 now. Yeah. I think 9-3 was a legitimate floor. I think they can't afford to lose more than one more because of who they lost to.
Yeah.
And
I think one more loss cuts them out because now you've got a G5 loss, essentially. And
essentially it is.
But a team that's right now ranked in the top 25, but Northern Illinois is not going to go 3 or 4 more weeks still being ranked in the top 25.
I could see a scenario where other teams, maybe there's a little bit more parity. You get a lot more 9-3, 8-4 type teams, and they at 10-2 they stick up there. But their leash got infinitely shorter than it was 72 hours ago, whatever it is.
My goodness, man! Absolutely wild.
It's more concerning for Freeman that this is a trend. They lost to Marshall last year.
Yep.
They lose to Northern Illinois this year. These are 4 touchdown underdogs beating them in South Bend.
And you've got to get your guys up for you've got to find a way to get your guys up for them. And we thought that maybe the Notre Dame offense could be more malleable, more explosive with Riley Leonard. And
that's not a good day for Riley Leonard supporters, for sure.
Real quick, do you think if the woes continue, all those people that, the kids that got coming in next year, do you think that's going to continue? Or do you think those legacy type players might go someplace else if Notre Dame has a bad showing this year?
I think guys being legacy type recruits, you're less likely to see the overreaction. In my legacy, I mean more like guys whose dads played in the sport.
That's what I'm referring to.
But those guys are less likely to be temperamental. They know the ebbs and flows of the sport, the emotions that go with it. If those guys start jumping ship, though, I think it does signify a larger problem in a lack of belief in Freeman.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're going to jump ship because of one game. Even if they go in 9-3, they're either going to believe in Freeman or they're not.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much going to do it for us here today on the Afternoon Underdogs. Tyler, it's always great to have you here talking some tangents about college football and the NFL with us. Man, it is so great to have college football back.
Yes, sir.
And the NFL as well. But, we're going to get you out there to the coverage for the Atlanta Braves and the Washington Nationals. Hopefully the Braves can bounce back from that 1-0 loss to the Cincinnati Reds last night. Y'all keep it locked in here to ESPN Northwest Florida. We'll see you tomorrow at 4. Just remember, Jesus loves you, and so do I.
ESPN Northwest Florida is your home for the NFL.
Touchdown, Denver!
We bring you the biggest games every Sunday, Monday, and Thursday night.
Oh, he's got the